ones that were unfunded. Specifically, we have the drainage improvements for Boca Grande. Again, 3 million is currently unfunded. They're trying to get a grant for 2 million. So you see the whole column, and so the only one that's funded is the 367, so that's, the one that has the star on it. Everything else is unfunded in those two columns, but you can see which ones we've applied for grants for, and which ones are currently not. So I just want to point that
Yeah,
out.
when we say unfunded, we haven't bid them out yet.
Correct.
So that's our planning projection. We're getting ready to bid out Gilchrist Park Area 2 soon, so we'll see how that comes back. The last slide, and we don't want to dwell on it, this is an initial list of projects. We've talked about some of these in the past, that the Sales Tax Committee, we're certainly going to give them to the Sales Tax Committee to start conversation. There are other ones on here, out there that are not on this list. We know that. But at least this gets them started on some things to consider. So, you notice we don't have on there the Gilchrist Park Activity Center yet, because we don't have the master plan back. And there's others. So that's really all we wanted to talk about today.
Okay. Any other questions for Howard? Or, yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much for all the information.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. Okay, moving on then, recommendation from city officers, city manager,
Nope.
city attorney,
Nothing further.
okay, city clerk.
Did you talk about,
What?
did you talk about Nesbit? The speed
Yes.
limit on Nesbit?
We did that earlier.
Okay,
We did that,
sorry. It's been a long meeting.
it's been a long day.
That was last year.
I can remember taking
Go to-
notes.
Uh-oh.
Yes,
We're in trouble.
food,
We can do it again if you want to.
okay,
Nesbit gets forwarded to Dover Cole.
Oh, that's right.
yeah.
I did write that down. Okay, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm gonna do this real quick. Vacancies. We have, 2 alternates on the Planning Commission, 2 Punta Gorda Housing Authority members. We have 1 vacancy on the Police Officers Pension Board, and an unexpired term as an alternate on Code Enforcement. We have nothing under nominations. Under appointments, here come your voting forms. This is an unexpired term on the Historic Preservation Advisory Board. We have 2 eligible applicants. You're just voting for one.
And the appointee is Mr. Wooster.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Welcome. Under policy and legislation, I just want to give you an update on the Pickleplex. I don't know what the correct term for it, Mark would tell me, but it's liquid asphalt. It's been put on the courts. It's a layer that has to go on. And tomorrow morning, they should be laying asphalt. And the asphalt on the courts as well as on the road that we had the cut in that goes from the entrance at the Florida Street entrance over to the pickleball courts. So if you haven't been out there, the lights are there, and next Thursday night at 8 o'clock is going to be a lighting. So they're going to turn the lights on, so everybody will be able to see what it's going to look like, and it's really, it's really starting to take shape now. So if you haven't been out to see it, it's starting to really be something. It has to, the pavement has to sit for 30 days and outgas before they can put the surface, the actual playing surface on top of it. Otherwise, it will not be a good adhesion. So that has to sit for 30 days before they can do that. But that's the latest on the Pickleplex. So it's making progress. So, council member comments. Jahan?
Nothing, long meeting.
My brain needs food.
Yes. Lynn?
The block party's coming up on April 27th. The headline act is The Drifters. I hope everybody will get out and enjoy that. It's going to be a fun day and lots of exciting, fun bands to listen to and great food and all kinds of good stuff. And thank you all very much for your support of the museum. It is very appreciated, and I hope everybody gets out to see it if you haven't already been there. It's pretty awesome.
Yep.
Thank you very much for the support.
You're welcome. Harry?
I'm fine.
Excellent. Debbie?
Just one quick thing. Todd Helt was the bugler at the raising flag ceremony for the museum. And can I just say, oh my goodness, it was so exciting. And, you know, I'm a sucker for a man in uniform anyway, but his rendition for the flag raising was just tremendous. And I think we're just such a lucky city to have that museum.
And he did a wonderful job, and he looked great in his uniform.
Yes, he did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, now it's citizen comments. You can have 3 minutes to talk about whatever you would like.
Sheila Yeager. I live at, on West Rhoda Esplanade. Thanks, I wish I'd brought cookies.
I wish you did too.
How about lunch?
Okay, I just wanted to make a couple points. One is that anyone who gets up and says noise is noise, and noise is a part of life, and they haven't done any research in any kind of acoustical studies or World Health Organization or National Institutes of Health to provide actual information on noise, perhaps should be rethinking those comments. And as a retired veterinarian who has worked in hospitals and knows that they are noisy, there's all those surfaces that just reflect sound because they have to be able to keep clean. I can add to that. If there are barking dogs around, it is an even noisier environment. And if they're growling, it gets a little bit intimidating even. But the fact is that when you are a true professional and you are concentrating on your work, you do not really pay attention to that noise. It falls away into the background. That's different from living with noise that is outside your home when you're trying to just live and enjoy your home and your yards and your porches. It's a different thing, and then those background noises are not of the same level as the impulsive noise that we talk about when we talk about pickleball noise. So, you know, there are people that come up and give facts, and there are people that come up and speak, and there's differences there. And the other reason I wanted to talk to you again is I wanted to say a little bit more about how difficult it is to get up here time after time. It's an additional stress on me, but I do it because I have people that have asked me to speak for them. And those aren't just the people that you've seen here that come and don't speak. Those are people that, when I'm outside gardening, come by and they stop and they say, and they point to the park and they point to pickleball and they say, when is that going to be fixed? And I have to say, I don't know. But they say, some of those people have said, have approached me after meetings here and said, I no longer go to the park because of that noise, or I've taken that off my walking route because of the noise. And then there's the people, like I said, that approach me in my yard. And so I get up time after time. And then there are people that say, I can't get up and talk because I get too angry, and I don't want to do that and expose that anger. And other people that say, I'm just too nervous, I can't get up and speak. I can't get up and speak in council. So I do it time after time. And to a certain extent, I'm trying to serve as their voice.
Thank you.
I'm Martha Beretta. I
live in the historic district, and first of all, I'd like to say thank you that this infrastructure project is going forward. We've been in my neighborhood waiting about 20 years for the infrastructure, so happy about that. But secondly, I would like to ask council to please take into consideration Mr. DePaul's testimony and those of his neighbors whose physical and mental health is negatively impacted by pickleball in Gilchrist Park. The pickleball agenda, pushed by, as we heard this morning, people who are non-residents and special interests, has divided our community. So I ask you to please take a look at the documents that you have in your possession. I think there's enough evidence to show that it will be a waste of money to do another noise study and a waste of money to build an acoustical fence. I ask you to please consider our neighbors, their welfare, and to remove pickleball from Gilchrist Park. Empathy and caring for others, about our neighbors, are values that have been held by the residents of Punta Gorda since its very beginning. I grew up here. We cared about people. When neighbors had problems, empathy was what we used. And we have the name, the little town that Unity built because of empathy and caring. So I ask you as city councilmen to have the courage and the empathy to do what is morally right in terms of removing pickleball from the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Pat Niles, Punta Gorda. I was not going to speak because I know this is a long one, and I was going to talk about parking, but you're already doing that. Listening to the two ladies before me with a pickleball, and I know it's been on and in the newspapers, and I've been following it from the beginning. And I went over there it caught my ear when I was driving by, the noise, and I ended up parking, and then I walked over to just see how louder it might get after parking in that parking area farther away from the pickleball court. And you can hear it as soon as you open your door. So I'm becoming now a resident in this and hearing the presentations that were made, and I think I would be at fault if I didn't speak up, even though this has been talked on and on and on as an issue. And I would kind of support, I think you said they're redoing it. I'm sorry, I apologize. I didn't hear that part of the meeting today. I'm gonna listen to the video. I'm suggesting that you close it for a while and really get a chance, once this other pickleball is opened up, and to just plain close it off when that opens up, and see what happens to how the people move. And what do they do who love pickleball? Will they go to the place, I think it's over by the college or something, I'm sorry, I'm talking off the top of my head. But to close it off for maybe a month and let the people see what they do, just like you did with the Guitar Army, and see how they really, truly respond to change. And I hope you think and consider that as this goes on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Before, meeting adjourned.